Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Cosgrove and I'm back with this week's No Filter Q&A. This is the episode where I answer all questions related to diet, training, and supplementation that I've received over the last 7 days from our in-house clients, online clients, as well as a few of our online followers. Remember, if you have any questions related to your nutritional plan, workout program, supplements you're taking, not taking, considering taking, please feel free to email me those questions at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can also DM me your questions on my Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. Okay, so let's get started with this week's No Filter Q&A with question number 1. Nick, how many times each week do I need to work out to see noticeable changes with my body? Honestly, I have people that work out with me once a week and they've noticed some pretty dramatic changes in their body over the last 2-3 years. The only issue is it's taken them 2-3 years to notice those changes. Okay, so I have, like I said, I have a few people on my roster who I can only see them once a week, or they can maybe only afford to see me once a week, or there's schedule conflicts that only allow them to see me once a week, and then they don't really do anything else on their own. So over the course of 2 to 3 years, they've noticed that they have added on muscle mass, right? Just that consistency of going on a weekly basis. With that being said, though, if those very same people were to train 3 to 4 times a week, those results would come much more quickly, right? Because they're training more frequently. Another thing is when you're training more frequently in the gym, you're going to be able to prioritize muscle groups more efficiently. So if you're only doing one workout a week, it's going to have to be a full body workout. Whereas if you're training, say, 5 days a week, you could do one full workout for chest, one full workout for back, one full workout for shoulders, one full workout for arms, and one full workout for legs, and throw in some abs throughout the week as well. So you can really prioritize and give more volume to each muscle group. So to answer that question, my recommendation when someone says to me, hey, I want to really make significant changes in my physique within the next year, I tell them they should be getting to the gym at least 4 to 5 times a week. Okay. Now, if someone just says to me, hey, I just want to improve my health and fitness, I'd like to put on a little bit of muscle, trim some body fat down, I say, if you're in the gym 2-3 times a week, that should be sufficient. But if you really want to notice not just dramatic changes, but dramatic changes in a shorter period of time, I would work up to that 4 to 5 times a week. Make sure that you're training on a consistent basis. Make sure that you're prioritizing the muscle groups correctly. You're following proper sequences. And also make sure that your diet is in check. That's going to be key because, again, if you have a great training program, but you have a shitty diet plan, you're going to get, again, the status quo results. So that doesn't make sense. So if you want to get results in the quickest and most effective manner, make sure that you're training on a consistent basis. Look to get those 4 to 5 workouts in per week and get your diet in check. Okay. That, in my opinion, will get you not just dramatic changes, but it'll make dramatic changes in a shorter period of time. All right. Next question. Hi, Nick. Do you think it's possible to turn training into a hobby? I hate going to the gym, but have been trying to trick my mind into making it a hobby rather than a chore. A good question. Absolutely, you can make training into a hobby. I mean, I've done it, and I have tons of clients that have done it. And you're right. You do have to kind of trick your mind into getting you into that mindset to go to the gym and turn it into something that you actually enjoy doing. I mean, not everyone enjoys going to the gym, right? I have clients that hate going to the gym. That's why they hire me or one of the trainers. It holds them accountable, keeps them motivated. That's why a lot of people hire personal trainers because they don't like going to the gym. They won't go to the gym on their own. For someone like me who likes to work out, I actually enjoy the process, but there are times that I don't want to work out. But because it's now become a habit, it's just something that I don't really talk myself out of. And I mentioned this last week on the channel, is that I don't negotiate my workouts. I set my workouts out for a certain time and day, and they're going to happen at that time and day. Obviously, things come up, but if you schedule in your workout as if it's just as important as any other meeting, whether it's a business meeting or a family obligation, you're not going to miss it. Okay, the only way you're going to really miss a workout is if you're really sick. So turning it into a hobby is what I recommend doing, is trying to turn it into something that you actually enjoy. And whether that is certain exercises that you enjoy doing or the results that you're achieving, right? One of the things that kept me going was I noticed results of my physique within the first 6 months of training. So that motivated me to continue to go to the gym. And then it became a hobby because I noticed it wasn't just the physical results that I was now achieving, it was the mental results, because after 2-3 years of training, my physique, my progress had slowed down because I was starting to hit plateaus, but mentally the workouts really helped. It made me feel more energized. They gave me more clarity in the way I thought. They made me more productive with my business. So now I use workouts as a fuel to fire me up for the rest of the day, to get me through my day-to-day activities. It keeps me disciplined, keeps me going throughout the day, keeps me focused on what I need to get done. So we've all heard that, when you exercise, it releases endorphins, and that's true. So it puts you in a better mood, right? So that's another reason why you want to work out on a regular basis. So turning it into a hobby, it's not easy, but you're right. Something you kind of have to trick your mind into doing. And what I would try to do is try to associate your workouts with something that's benefiting you, and whether that's the results you're receiving physically or the results that you're receiving mentally. Because I guarantee you, if you are someone who goes to the gym on a consistent, regular basis, you already know this, that you feel so much better when a workout's done, right? And you do have more energy, and you do think more clearly, and you are more productive. So turning it into a hobby, it's not that it's easy, but it should be easier, knowing that there's so many benefits that come along with getting in those daily workouts, or 3 or 4 times a week, those workouts. All right. Next question. Hi, Nick. What age do you recommend men go on TRT? I don't recommend men go on TRT at a specific age. However, I do recommend that after the age of 35, you start getting regular blood work done. And by regular blood work, I mean at least once a year. Okay, that's very important. And when you get that blood work done, you should always be asking your GP, your doctor, to send you for your testosterone levels. Make sure your testosterone levels are being checked. Because if you don't ask your doctor for that, he probably won't put them on the blood work panel for them to be checked. So ask for that as well. So it's not that it's one certain age, because there's some guys that have to go on TRT therapy when they're in their early 20s. There's some guys that never have to go on TRT therapy, right? So a lot of it comes down to your genetics. So for example, I work with a lot of guys who are now nearing into their 50s, into their early 60s. And I've noticed a lot of these guys are now slowly starting to go on TRT therapy, because they're noticing that they have low energy, they have low libido, and these are usually signs of low testosterone levels. So sure enough, they go get their blood work done, testosterone levels are low, they go on TRT therapy. For those people that don't know, TRT therapy is testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, okay? Similar to HRT, hormone replacement therapy, right? So it's not one specific age that you should go on, but like I said, after the age of 35, 38, I would start getting regular blood work done at least once a year, get those testosterone levels checked, because we already know that men, as we get older, our testosterone starts to decrease with age. Like, this is a fact. This is not something that's not true. Of course, exercising and working out on a regular basis will help keep your testosterone levels high, but there's only so much that you can fight Father Time, right? So as we get older, our testosterone levels do start to decrease with time. So my recommendation, once you get to 35, around that 38 mark, start getting them done at least once a year. Pay attention to your body. If you start to notice that you're feeling chronically low energy throughout the week, throughout the months, that could be a sign of low testosterone. If your libido starts to go down, that could be a sign of low testosterone. If you lose your appetite, that could be a sign of low testosterone. So there's a lot of symptoms that are associated with low testosterone. So it's something to be embarrassed about. It's just your genetics. So don't feel like you're less of a man if you go on TRT therapy. I train a lot of people who are on TRT therapy, some who are in their 30s. I train a few guys who are actually in their 20s who are on TRT therapy. You look at a lot of the bodybuilders who competed back in the day in their 20s and 30s and 40s, all of them are on TRT therapy, because most of them, if not all of them, used anabolic steroids when they were younger. So their bodies have stopped producing testosterone naturally, and now they have to go on TRT, right? So it's just something that you want to pay attention to. It's the same thing I tell women as they get into their 50s to start paying attention, learn more about HRT, hormone replacement therapy. These are things that you want to educate yourself on and talk to your doctors about as you age, okay? There's no longer the stigma that you're putting something, well, you are putting something foreign into your body, but it's no longer the stigma that's something bad for you. In fact, it can be quite healthy for you, but you just have to make sure that you educate yourself and you understand what you're doing. And again, if your body needs it, you take it. If your body doesn't need it, you don't take it. All right, next question. Nick, what do you think about the AI fitness apps? Do you think they work? So here's my thing with AI fitness apps. I mean, AI is obviously taking over quite a few industries now, right? There's a lot of people losing their jobs to AIs. And I've had people ask me if I'm worried that an AI is going to take my job. And to be honest, I'm not. Because what AIs lack are those interpersonal skills. They lack that empathy needed from a good coach, a good trainer that knows when to, let's say they're dieting someone for a fitness competition, or they're just getting someone dieting down for a wedding or an event. They know when to back off, right? They know when to push. So an AI doesn't know that. So if I, like, for example, when I do my weekly check-ins with people, one of the questions I ask is, how are your energy levels? How are you feeling? And, these are questions that people don't just give me like a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 for. I ask questions. I want to know, are you feeling tired? Are you feeling drained? Are you feeling hungry? Okay, you are. It's time for us to increase your carbohydrates. It's time for us to decrease your cardio. A good coach knows when to push and knows when to back off. An AI is never going to know when to do that. So an AI might be able to deliver a customized program for you based on your goals and based on your lifestyle, based on your age and those factors, sure. And I'm sure they'll only get better with time, but it's not going to be able to guide you when you get through that rough patch of the diet, or guide you when you hit that plateau, because it's going to just push out more generic advice. Whereas someone who's experienced, a good coach or a reputable trainer, and has worked with tons of people over the years, hundreds of people over the years, is going to have that experience and that knowledge to know, okay, where to troubleshoot and how to work with this individual. It even helps more when the coach and the client have built a solid foundation and a long-term relationship. A lot of my clients have worked with me for 15 plus years. So I've learned their bodies. I know what works for them. I know what doesn't work for them. I know if they're an endomorph, an ectomorph, a mesomorph, or a combination of the two. So knowing that, I can troubleshoot much easier. And then whenever I get a new client, that's the one thing I always say to them: it's going to take me some time to learn your body. So be patient. But once I learn a formula that works for you, that's the formula we're going to use. And once that formula stops working, we're going to tweak it. We're going to change it. We're going to revise it. But an AI is not going to be able to do that. Again, an AI can definitely create a training program for you. You can have one pushed out for you within less than 5 minutes, training program and a diet plan. But I really don't think that it's ever going to replace working with a reputable trainer or a coach. I think that if you want that more customized service and you need that person that is going to hold you accountable and is going to know, like I said, when to push and when to back off, nothing can replace that. And really, there's no competition. So do I think AI fitness apps are good? I don't think they're bad. I think if you can't afford to work with a trainer or coach, they're second best. Okay. But I would never compare them to working with a reputable trainer or experienced coach, because the two are not even on the same level. All right. Next question. Nick, I'm 16 weeks pregnant and would like to know at what point in my pregnancy I should stop lifting weights. Thanks. Why would you stop lifting weights if you're pregnant? I mean, unless your doctor has told you that you need to stop lifting weights, in my opinion, there's never a reason to stop lifting weights if you're pregnant. In fact, I've worked with so many women over the years that have trained with me right up until their due date, and a few women who've trained with me past their due date because they were late, and no problems. I mean, you have to modify your workouts, obviously. There's certain exercises that as you get further into your pregnancy that you're not going to be able to do anymore. But for the most part, there should be no reason why you would stop weight training unless your doctor has advised you to do so. So I don't recommend stopping training. In fact, if anything, I recommend trying to keep going to the gym on a regular basis, on a consistent basis. And as I said, modify accordingly as you get longer into your pregnancy. Because one thing that I've learned over the years is from a lot of the women I work with, their pregnancies are relatively easy. And it's because they're going into these pregnancies very fit, right? If you're going into a pregnancy and you're not fit, you're not active, chances are you're going to have a really hard time, right? So especially if it's a long pregnancy, what if it takes a 24-hour delivery or even longer, right? So the more fit and the more strong you are going into a pregnancy, the better off you're going to be. So therefore, it doesn't make any sense to stop lifting weights. Like I said, unless your doctor has advised you to do so, my recommendation is to keep lifting weights for as long as you can, modify your workouts accordingly. A lot of the women I've worked with over the years who've been pregnant, typically what we'll do is, everyone's different, but typically what we'll do is as we get longer into the pregnancy, certain exercises we have to take out or we have to modify, right? And that's fine. That's not a huge issue. But for the most part, I would say 90% of the exercises stay in. We don't necessarily lift lighter. We don't train with less intensity. We keep the intensity high. We keep the workouts, the volume high. And we, believe it or not, we usually keep the weights high too. So everyone's different, obviously, right? So some people handle their pregnancies different than others, but I'm a true believer that the more fit you are going into a pregnancy, the better off you're going to be. And, you're going to feel better and you're just going to feel more prepared. So don't stop lifting weights unless your doctor advises you to do so. Okay, next question. Hi, Nick. What do you think about CrossFit? I'm thinking of joining a CrossFit gym next month to help keep me motivated to go to the gym and work out. I have a love-hate relationship with CrossFit. I've made it no secret over the years that I'm not a huge advocate of CrossFit. But at the same time, I don't tell people not to do CrossFit. The problem with CrossFit is it's a lot of complex exercises, right? And so the problem is when you're doing complex exercises as a beginner, unless you have that one-on-one instruction, which most people don't have when they join a CrossFit gym because it's usually group classes, you risk injury. So if you're telling me you want to join a CrossFit gym and you're going to book a 12 or 16 session private sessions package with a CrossFit instructor, I say go for it. But if you're just joining CrossFit classes, I don't think that's a good idea, especially if you're a beginner, because like I said, a lot of these exercises are very advanced. They're very complex. There's a lot of ballistic movements. If you do something wrong, just one sharp, twist or turn, or you tweak a muscle, you can't train for 6 months, maybe a year. Who knows how bad the injury is, right? And that's one of the things that CrossFit's known for. It's all the injuries. And I believe one of the reasons that is because with CrossFit, it is that group atmosphere, which I'm all for. But like I said, even with the people who come to work with me, I always recommend people book some private sessions prior to joining a group class. When you're in a group class, you're not going to get that same instruction that you get in a private session. One instructor and 20 people, there's no way that instructor is going to be able to correct proper form and technique for every single person in that class. So my recommendation, if you're going to join a CrossFit gym like that, is to book a 12 or 16 session, whatever training package they sell, private sessions with one of their CrossFit instructors. Okay, that's key. But I'm not against people doing CrossFit. And I think over the years, I made fun of CrossFit because I don't do CrossFit. And, I made people think that I hate CrossFit, but I don't hate CrossFit. I personally don't do it. I think a lot of the exercises are dangerous. I think the risks outweigh the benefits. I don't like ballistic movements. So by ballistic movements, I mean movements that you're doing quick with explosive repetitions. I don't like that. I've always liked nice controlled movements, which is why I love bodybuilding, because the repetitions are controlled. We usually use a 1-2 tempo on the concentric contraction and a 1-2 tempo on the eccentric contraction. So everything is controlled. Whereas with CrossFit, there's a lot of momentum, there's a lot of swinging, and there's really a lot of risk of injury. And that's why you hear of all the injuries with CrossFit. Okay, so even the most advanced CrossFit trainers, they get injured as well, right? It does happen. Whereas with bodybuilding, you don't really hear that as much. Yeah, someone might tear a muscle every once in a while, but you don't really hear too many people who follow a bodybuilding program getting injured. So that's why I like bodybuilding over CrossFit, because not only can you get results, but your risk of injury is much lower. And I always say, if you're injured, you can't work out, right? So you don't want to get injured. So like I said, I'm not telling people not to do CrossFit, but if you are going to do CrossFit, my recommendation, book some private sessions in with an instructor and make sure you know how to do all those exercises correctly with perfect form and perfect technique. Okay. And really, again, when you're doing these movements, you need to really pay attention to your body, your surroundings, so that you're in the actual set. And that's crucial, because if your mind's somewhere else, and just like I said, one slip up, you're injured, you can't train 6 months a year. I know people who've been injured from weightlifting and they still can't train. They've been off the gym for 2-3 years, right? Herniated disc, tear a hamstring, pop out a rotator cuff. Something might require surgery. So, and that becomes very unmotivating. Now you can't go to the gym for 3 months, and now you're unmotivated to go back to the gym, or you don't want to start from square one again. So be very careful. I'm not telling you not to join. I'm just telling you, if you do join, get that one-on-one instruction. Yeah, it's going to cost a little bit more, but I promise you it's worth it. It's the same thing I tell to new clients who join our company. I say, look, if you want to learn how to do something correctly, it's going to cost a little bit more at first. But if your goal is to join a group class long-term, you'll get there. But it's crucial that you learn how to do these exercises correctly first. And then you can go in with a group class of 10 to 12 people, and you don't need that same instruction, right? That's fine. But I'm telling you right now, you need to learn how to do these movements correctly, or you're going to get injured and you're not going to be able to train. All right. Next question. Hey Nick, what's the fastest way to get a six-pack? I'm going on a cruise in 6 weeks and wondering if this will be enough time if I train my abs every day for 15 minutes. I checked my body fat on a scale and it says I'm 16%. Is this enough time? I'm not going to even go into these body fat scales because I really don't think they're accurate. I think they're accurate for the average set at entry person. But for someone who lifts weights on a regular basis, I don't think they're accurate at all. In fact, I know they're not accurate at all because I've stepped on them and they've told me I'm 28%, 30% body fat. And I can tell you right now, I'm maybe max 10% body fat, right? Just by looking at me, I know. So they're not accurate. It's like the BMI. The BMI is not accurate either, right? It's accurate for the average set at entry person. But for someone who is fit and active, those rules don't apply to us. So yeah, I'm not going to go there. But to go back to getting a six-pack in the most quickest and most effective way possible, if you truly are at 16% body fat, 6 weeks is really not that much time. You're going to have to diet really hard. You're going to have to do your cardio. I don't think you have to do your abs every day. In fact, I don't recommend doing your abs every day. Twice, 3 times a week max should be more than enough. 10, 15 minutes, like you said, but not 7 days a week. We've heard the abs are made in the kitchen, and there is some truth to that. Obviously, you should train your abs, but at the same time, you need to make sure that your diet and your cardio is in check, because you can have a great six-pack, but if there's a layer of fat covering it, you're never going to see it. So I wouldn't recommend training your abs every day just to get a six-pack. And at the same time, one of the things I feel that we're lacking in today's society is people just want things in the quickest way possible. And nobody really wants to suffer. Nobody wants to go through the work. That's actually part of the journey, right? And I know that sounds cheesy, but it really is, because that's what builds character. It shouldn't come easy. It shouldn't be like, well, what's the fastest way to get a six-pack? What's the fastest way to build up my chest? What's the fastest way to get bigger arms? It shouldn't be like that. It's like, what's the most effective way to do it, right? What's the smartest way to do it? How can I do this in the most safest and most efficient manner? Those should be the questions people are asking, not what's the fastest way to do it. Because whether it takes 6 weeks or 6 years, it's the process that builds the character. And this is what I talk about with weightlifting, is weightlifting has taught myself personally how to remain disciplined in life, not just in the gym, but how to remain disciplined in relationships, my finances, my business. So, people don't realize when they're doing something like lifting weights on a consistent basis or doing something physical exertion, exercise in any format, it teaches you discipline, right? Whereas a lot of people lack discipline. They always give in to short-term gratification. So rather than ask what's the quickest way to get a six-pack, the question really should be, what's the most effective and efficient way to go about developing a six-pack? And I'm okay if this takes me over a year, 2 years, because the process is what you're actually benefiting from. It's not the final result, it's the process. So those are the questions you should be asking. But to answer that question, I wouldn't attempt to train your abs every day. I think that's just going to overtrain them and it'll probably be counterproductive. But if you've got 6 weeks, diet hard, make sure you're doing your cardio, abs 2-3 times a week max. I wouldn't spend more than 15 minutes doing abs. I never do. And that should be fine. Because you have to remember, your abs are a very small muscle group. Transverse abdominals, rectus abdominals, intercostals, and obliques. That's it. And if you're training with weights properly, you should be focusing on contracting your core already. So you're already doing a lot of abdominal work when you're doing exercise like squats, deadlift, bench press. You're already engaging those muscles. So you don't need to spend 30 minutes doing abs. There's no reason to, right? In fact, most of my clients know with me, I usually give them abs at the end of maybe 2 workouts a week. If they're training me 5 days a week, we'll do abs for the last 5 minutes. That's it. And it works. And you can see them if the body fat levels are low. And as I said, usually with guys, you can start to see your abs when you're about that 12 to 8% body fat range. And with women, it's usually in that, I was going to say 16 to about 20% body fat range. And that's when you can really start to see the abs. But again, genetics play a huge role. So not everyone has a great six-pack under their layer of fat. Some people have better abs than other people, right? That's just genetics. So diet, cardio, don't be in a rush, enjoy the process. Okay, long question here. Hi, Nick. My friend who has never worked out with weights keeps asking to train with me. I don't want to be rude, but I don't want to teach her how to work out as I feel it will reduce the intensity of my own workouts. I'm also not a trainer, so I'm not even sure if I would be teaching her the right form. Have you ever had friends that wanted to train with you during your workouts, and did you allow them to join you? Just wondering what I should say to her. I would tell her just what you just said there, that you don't feel comfortable teaching her because you're not a trainer, right? And that you go to the gym for yourself, for your workouts, and you need to focus on what you're doing in the gym. I don't think that's rude. I think that's totally acceptable. If I want to learn how to do something, me personally, if I want to learn how to do something, I'm going to hire a professional to teach me how to do that. Yeah, it's nice to have friends and family members that can help guide you along the way, but I'm not going to rely on them to teach me. I'm going to ask a professional. So if I want to learn how to lift weights correctly, I'm going to hire a personal trainer. I might not have that trainer for years on end. I might just book a 6-session or 12-session package with him or her to learn how to get started, right? And then I might go back to them a few months now and say, okay, teach me more. Teach me how to do other exercises. I want to learn how to do a training split. I want to learn how to put this together properly. I wouldn't rely on my friends or family members to do that. So to answer your question, I've actually, all my training partners that I've worked with over the years have already been well-versed in the gym. They know how to work out, right? I usually have trained with people who compete in fitness competitions. On the odd time I've had a friend join me for a workout, I have no problem teaching them in some sense, but at the same time, I don't allow it to take anything away from my workout. So unless I'm getting paid for a session where I'm giving the person my undivided attention, if it's my workout, you're going to do what I'm doing and you're going to follow as best as you possibly can. I might give you a little bit of tips here and there, but I'm not going to be instructing you along the way. That's not my job. And I agree with you. It does actually take the intensity out of your workout. So don't feel selfish about that. I would say exactly what you just said to me. You can say, I'm not an instructor. I'm not a trainer. I don't know if I'd be teaching you proper form and technique. I really need to focus on what I'm doing because I could injure myself by focusing on what you're doing and not focusing on what I'm doing. And at the same time, it's taking the intensity down of my own workouts. I don't see anything wrong with that. I have a client who used to have a training partner, and I actually told him to break up with his training partner, not as friends, but just as training partners, because I knew, first of all, I knew his training partner, and all they would do with between sets was talk. So they would do one set each and then they'd talk for 10 minutes. And when his training partner moved away for 6 months, he got way better results. And it's because he was following the program that I designed for them, but he was now taking like 45-second rest in between sets. So his intensity went up. So a good training partner can really push you and motivate you to lift more and train harder, and then you get better results. But a bad training partner is going to do the complete opposite. Someone who wants to talk, or someone doesn't know what they're doing, or they complain and is the workout done yet? That's very demotivating, right? And so it's not someone you want to train with. So I always tell people, even when we pair people up in partner sessions, I always tell people, if we're going to pair you up, ideally you want to be paired up with someone who's close to your fitness level, right? And so sometimes I'll get a husband and wife that want to train together, and that's fine. But I will recommend, I'm like, if the wife or the husband is brand new to training and the other person isn't, I say, this might not be the best fit for you guys. However, if you want to give it a shot, we'll do it. But most people find when they partner up, they like to work with someone who's close enough within their fitness level. So when I have clients that ask me, hey, can you pair me up with someone? I always look to pair them up with someone who's close enough to their fitness level. Because if it doesn't match, it's like a relationship. It doesn't really work well. So again, I would just tell your friend you don't feel comfortable teaching her how to do the exercises correctly, and that it would be a bit of a distraction for you, and that it would take the intensity of your own workouts down. And I honestly don't think that's rude or selfish. I think that's reasonable. And tell her to hire a personal trainer, preferably one of ours. Okay. Next question. Nick, if I want to add another 2 inches onto my arms, should I split them up and train triceps in one workout and biceps in the second workout? I know you don't recommend training a muscle group twice a week, but would this be okay? It's not a bad idea. I mean, I go back to when I used to compete, and back was one of my weakest muscle groups. So I split it up to 2 days. I had a row day and a pull down day, and that actually really worked well for me. So if you're noticing that you're struggling with your arms, it might not be a bad idea to give one full workout to your triceps and one full workout to your biceps. With that being said, though, what I recommend is when you're training your arms, for most people, is to actually just put arms together and superset them if you can. So bicep, tricep, and I find that works really well because it gets that good pump in the arms, right? And it's great because biceps and triceps are agonist versus antagonist muscle groups, so you can kind of superset and go back and forth. I find that works better for most people who struggle bringing up their arms, both men and women. And the reason I find that works, and again, like you said, you don't want to train your arms twice a week, but putting them together in that one workout is because you have to remember when you're training your back, for example, you are using your biceps. You can't turn your biceps off. They're what we call your synergist muscle groups. So they're going to assist in any row or any pull down movement that you do. They're going to. You can't turn them off. Even if you have straps or grabbers like we sell, you're still going to use your biceps a little bit. When you're doing exercises like on a chest day or a shoulder day, if you're doing presses, you are going to use your triceps because they're the synergist muscles in any pressing movements, right? So again, you can't turn those off. So this is why I don't recommend spending too much time or putting too much volume on your arms, because they're already getting worked indirectly with your shoulder, chest, and back workouts. So arm days, in my opinion, I've always said this, a lot of people say, oh, they love training arms because it's an easy workout. Your arm workout should not be an easy workout. My arm workouts are pretty hard, actually. I find them to be one of the hardest workouts, right? And the reason why is because I superset them. Genetically, I've never had the best arm development. But what I've noticed is when I started supersetting my arms, I really started to get that definition and that hard, lean muscle belly, right? So that's what worked for me. And that's what works for most people that I work with, both men and women. But I see no problem if you want to try that and see if it works. I mean, I know people who have training splits like that, where they do biceps one day and triceps one day. What I'd recommend doing is try it for a good like 6 months and then see if you notice a difference. If you don't, go back to, if you're not already doing this, start doing it, supersetting the muscle groups, or go back to what you're doing and just pairing them up again and try different things. I'm all for trying different things if something's not working. But if you're going to try something new, when it comes to weightlifting anyway, I generally recommend give it a good 6 months, because it does take the body time to adapt to a new system of training, right? It's not just going to change overnight. So be patient. But if you're asking me what I feel is best, I feel supersetting biceps and triceps work really well. And even if you're in a commercial gym, it's not that hard to superset them, because, for example, let's say you're doing a cable rope extension. You can take that cable and bring it right down and do a cable rope hammer curl, right? So you can superset even in commercial gyms if you're just a little bit creative with your lifts. Obviously, if you're in a private gym, there's no problem supersetting, right? You can do that easily. That's what I do at my gym. So I find that works best. Keep the volume relatively low when it comes to arms, because, as I said, you're working them indirectly with shoulders, chest, and back. So therefore, you don't need to hit your biceps with 60 sets and your triceps with 60 sets. It's overkill, not necessary. In fact, if you bring that down to a good like 20 sets per muscle group, you probably notice better results because you're not overtraining the muscle. All right, okay, last question. Hi, Nick. What are the benefits of lifting weights for men? I do a lot of cardio throughout the week between running and biking, but get bored easily lifting weights in the gym. Would it be that much more beneficial for me to train with weights as well? There are numerous benefits to train with weights for both men and women. Cardiovascular exercise is excellent. Okay, it's going to work your cardiovascular system. It's going to be great for your heart. The problem is cardio doesn't really do anything for your muscular system. You might get runners that say, well, I work my legs when I run. Yeah, I won't argue that you work your legs, but you're not really building your legs. You don't really see many runners with big defined quadriceps or hamstrings and glutes. They're usually skinny, right? So they haven't really built muscle. They're just skinny. So I'm not saying don't do cardio. Cardio is excellent, but I definitely feel that weightlifting for both men and women has numerous benefits. Right? We already know now that weightlifting from a young age can help prevent osteoarthritis from occurring, right? This is huge. Another thing is when you lift weights on a regular basis, not only are you more stronger, but as a man, you increase your natural testosterone levels. So this goes back to that person asking me about TRT. If you want to increase your testosterone levels as a man, you should be lifting weights on a regular basis. Most men that lift weights on a regular basis will tell you they have more energy, they have a higher libido, and they feel more confident. They feel better, right? That's the truth. Okay. So this is one of the reasons why a lot of guys like to lift weights, is because the benefits, it's not just the aesthetics. They don't just look better, but they feel better. Okay. So like I said, cardio is great. I'm not saying don't do cardio, but I would definitely be adding in weight training. Another benefit to doing weight training is if you're someone who struggles with your weight, or even if you don't struggle with your weight, the more muscle mass you have, the more calories your body burns in a rested state. So if you're someone who is relying on cardio to burn body fat, it's actually not a very intelligent tactic to use. It's actually more intelligent to do more weights, because again, the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn in a rested state. So it only makes sense. Like, again, when I do my diet's well over 8,000 calories a day. I don't really do any cardio except walking to my gym and back, and that's about 15 minutes each way. That's my cardio. But I don't struggle with my weight because I have muscle mass. And the same thing with my clients who work with me. I always tell them, the more muscle that we can add on to your frame, the faster your metabolism is going to be, and the more calories you burn in a rested state. So you're not going to have to rely on cardio to burn fat. You're not going to have to go into a severe caloric deficit to lose fat. You have that muscle mass, your body's just going to burn fat naturally more faster. Okay. So there are numerous benefits to lifting weights, some of what I just mentioned there. And like I said, not just for men, for women as well, right? So it's very important. In my opinion, everyone should be lifting weights. And I know, again, that could be very biased for me saying that as a trainer, as a coach, someone who makes money in the fitness industry. But even once I leave the fitness industry, because I'm not going to be in this industry forever, I will still say that I will still continue to train. Okay. It's not something that I'm just going to stop doing. It's part of my life. It's become a hobby. I see the benefits of it, and I'm going to do it until the day I die. So at this point, it's no longer just about the aesthetics. It's now about the health benefits, the mental benefits as well that people get from lifting weights. That's what keeps me in the game. And I know that's what keeps a lot of my clients, especially my older clients, in the game. Okay. So, because aesthetics will only take you so far, right? So it's good to have that as a goal. I always tell people a little bit of vanity is good if that gets you in the gym, but it's a very short-term goal. You have to have a long-term goal. Okay. It's crucial, because if all you're thinking about is how you're going to look, you're going to get older. Our bodies will change. So you have to have a long-term vision and say, okay, but what else is working out, adding the benefits it's adding to my life? And as I said, you notice the mental benefits of it, right? The mental health benefits, the physical benefits is one thing, but the mental health benefits is huge. So I recommend most people train weights, I recommend everyone train weights minimum 3 times a week, just to reap those benefits. Okay, so that's it for this week's No Filter Q&A. This episode will be going up on Tuesday, October the 17th. As a reminder, if you do have any questions related to your diet, training, or supplementation, please feel free to email me at nick@foreverfitperformance.com or DM me your questions on my Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. As a reminder, if you like what you see, please like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps. It supports the channel grow. And again, thank you guys so much. Thank you for supporting my business channel, my coaching app. I appreciate all the support. Have a great night, and I'll see you all next week. Bye for now.